In light of the discussion you're having about timeline and workflow and history and 3D object snapping and everything and importing, thought I'd make a few little tip videos based on what I've found so far. So the first thing is, let's go ahead and just do a simple example here of making a real simple 3D part, and let's extrude that. Okay, now first off, before we start getting into more complicated stuff, what's kind of cool, let's go ahead and just show you a little thing here that I found. If you, I'm sure most of you guys know, if you have your sketch visible that generated your 3D object, it's kind of cool, and Luke especially, you know, in trying to just fluidly get ideas of stuff, you can actually, without going into the sketch in real time, if your sketch is visible, you can, and it's not been constrained by other sketches and stuff on some sides, you can do that live thing of editing of your 3D object. Okay, so let's do 3 different examples here of creating features on the faces, different faces, and drastically altering the timeline and various stuff. So first simple example, let's create a sketch on one of these faces, and go ahead and, now I should have actually used this look at down here. Let's see, this one right here. So it's a lot less disorienting sometimes. It makes you choose a face as opposed to this one when you're doing a lot of 3D modeling. So let's I don't know, just put some features here. Okay, a point there, maybe a midpoint, and make this a construction line. Okay, now let's just actually, let's go back into that sketch here, and also for this simple case, let's just create a circle, and we'll just extrude that circle. And of course, in this simple case, you know, it keeps the relationship. And I did want to, let's see, put a dimension maybe. Of something, and so that that relationship is going to be kept regardless of our parametric fiddling. Now I can't change this bottom sketch on that side now because this sketch is vertical, or is visible, but we can change that again once we turn that sketch off. Okay, now let's try something a little bit more tricky here. Let's try importing a sketch, and that, yes, still is properly dimensioned there, positioned. Okay, so let's import. I happen to have another cylinder here. Nice complicated feature, but this could be a much more complicated thing, and insert that. Now I'm not going to use this move that's immediately displayed for the import, and I've found that if you instead use just this regular move, well, let me show you why here. It's kind of interesting. So please note a little bit later I figured out more detail about the different kinds of moves of bodies and components or components. If you use this immediate move feature, look, there's no move in our history. What I like to do is just, well, I haven't done this that much, but I just was playing around with this recently, and I'll just say okay with that, and then use the regular move tool and select our body. Just move it out of the way there to make it a little bit easier to work with. So okay, let's try joining this to another face. I could just join it right to the middle of that face real quickly, like so. You know, choose the center of that and the center of that, and now that is a bad sign how this, for a rigid joint, I noticed, is moving, but this other body is not moving. That means it's not really joined together real well. So for the most part, it wouldn't cause trouble. As you can see, if we modify our geometry here, but if you do some moves or something, you might start losing this relationship. So a better thing to do, we need to have our bodies here in a separate component than the base component here. So let's go ahead and create a new component, and let's go ahead and move these bodies into our new component. Now watch what happens when we create a joint again. Choose the center of that cylinder, the center of this face. Yeah, now because these are not in the base component, they're in a sub component here. And just be sure that that this component and this assembly here is not in the same component. They're in separate subcomponents. If they're in the same component, like if these bodies were in this cylinder component, then you can't use the join. And let's go ahead and also do a little bit more complicated feature or positioning on here, kind of like we had with the other. So let's create a line. Let's construction and do another point somewhere, and maybe another dimension. So before we join these, what we should really do is these bodies, oh, and let's see, I guess this, yeah, this was made as just a single body when we did the extrude, but if we go back in our timeline here, that was that extrude, and edit, we can say new body, and that's not going to cause any trouble. So now we got two bodies, and it's still, let's turn the sketch off, it still holds to that face perfectly. Yeah, you know, you can see by showing dimension. Alright, so we want to join this cylinder to this point in this sketch here, and there's really two ways or modes of thought to go about this. Now we can't very satisfactorily or perfectly join this to this as it currently is, because this sketch is in the base component. So if we try and join this to this here, we see that only this cylinder is moving in this animation and not the rest of the bodies here. So we can either, since this sketch is already in the base component, what we can either do is one of two things. First, let's try making a sketch on the face, and I like this way probably better because let me undo that, because I like having all the driving reference sketches in the base component here, and then we're going to kind of have a relay sketch. So to create that, we need to first activate this component, and now we're going to create a sketch on this face, and we're going to then link or project the relevant geometry from this other sketch. So this point here, we project, by going to project, include slash, and go there. Okay, and now because we activated this component, this new sketch went into this component. So now watch what's going to happen when we join, make a joint. We click the center here, and this point, let's see, I guess we should, to be safe, turn this other sketch off and be sure we're going to click to that point. So we, okay, it's on the second component to join. Click there, and sure enough, they're both moving. We see it's in the wrong direction, so we can flip it, but they're definitely totally joined together now. So we're not going to have any problems when we move all these components all over the place in complicated further assemblies. Okay, and we can see that is just initial testing. Everything looks good there. We can try moving this point by turning off our relay sketch, and let's turn this rigid off too, the visibility. Turn our driving sketch on, and oh yeah, it's dimensioned, I believe. So show dimension. Yep, so 1.7 does that, or we can delete the dimension completely and just do the good old slideroo. Okay, now let's try actually moving this whole sucker. So I'm going to do a move tool and be sure to choose move components. Now we can either select the two components here, or we can select them here. Let's see, let me do the move again. So component move, select the two components and move them somewhere. Hit OK. Now this is a little tricky. After moving components, it wants us to take a snapshot of the new position here, but we need to be sure to have our current base. So I just hover over this base component and activate it, because you don't want to place this snapshot within the components that you're actually moving. So we're active in the base, and now we can take our snapshot, and there it is in our timeline. Alright, as you could see, there was a warning about losing the bodies for this move of or copy and paste we did when we transferred the bodies out of the base component into this component. And the way I cleared that is I haven't actually learned a lot about clearing that type of errors and warnings and stuff, but I basically rolled the timeline back all the way to like just after this new component, or actually no, I think I did it just to where this copy and paste was. Then of course you go to modify and compute all, and that'll clear it, if it's something over here causing it. And then I tried actually moving, because it looked like when I try to move the components that was throwing that warning or that concern. And it wasn't a warning, it was the other one, the yellow. And so then that worked fine, and I just kept rolling it forward, and it just didn't happen again. So you can kind of troubleshoot that way if something like that happens. But okay, I'm going to try moving this again. So you select components here, and be sure that you don't well, actually, just select, so select move components, and then I don't even need to select both of them since they're joined together rigidly. I could, it doesn't matter. And then you just move it elsewhere in your assembly. Okay, take this snapshot because we're in the base component is active. So we take the snapshot. And now you can see you can roll back before that snapshot to go to our original position. And you see how the sketches, because these are based in our base component here, they don't move, but that's okay. They're still the controlling sketches. Now let's try fiddling with this a little bit. Okay, so fiddling around. So I can't move this, and let's see, it doesn't have a dimension on it, so it's probably snapped to the middle center point. So we can edit that, and yeah, sure enough, it looks like that's what happened. So now we can slide that, stop sketch. Okay, so we can see that's working good. If we turn that sketch off, we see that everything's staying together nicely here. So you can see that's still in the right place, and it's in contact with that face. Excellent. Okay. To show that other method I was referring to, let's see, there's different ways to backtrack here. Let's see, we can delete that snapshot. Let's delete the joint there, and well, I can delete this this relay sketch, but I'm just going to deactivate it and make it invisible. So of course what we can also do is create a sketch that's going to kind of snap to this face here, and now we can go ahead and make our geometry. And do whatever we want. Let's see, actually, just a point again. Okay, and if we go ahead and do a joint, that is going to, oh, you know what I forgot to do? Yeah, so this sketch here, let's go ahead and delete that sketch because it's kind of tough, but to remember. But for this method, that's why I like the first method better, where you just have all your sketches in your base component. Because for this method, you need to remember to activate the component that we're going to snap a sketch to, that face there. Go ahead and Okay. Now we can do our joint from there to there. And yeah, now you can see it's totally locked together, which is great for moving this all over the place to different assemblies or whatnot. For total type of control over the, or easiest control, I guess, over the parametric fooling around type editing, you know, I guess it's probably best to keep these separate bodies, but you can, of course, also combine these and that goes into the active component there, it looks like. So it looks like that body went into the active component. It came out of this component, and so you just got to be aware of that. But yeah, now you know, you can so it's just selecting a body now, and that stays together. That looks like it still stays together there. You know, this looks like it's moving around, but I think that's just because we don't have this, let's say, fixed to this. Just make it easy. Fix it to the center there. Yeah, so that works. Keeps things pretty simple if you just combine. Then you can also, of course, split bodies if you need to separate these things for some reason. Those two bodies. Let's actually try and do that. Split body. So this is our body. The splitting tool, let's be that plane there. And yeah, now we got two bodies, and they stay here in the component. That doesn't really affect anything there. Okay. Now, if you really have an aversion to having that the sketches in your base component, like your master driving sketches, and your actual bodies and components and stuff possibly located elsewhere, you can, of course, just go ahead and straight off the bat remember to create a new component, activate it, and now we can go ahead and do our cool little triangle shape again. Extrude. Bada bing, bada boom. Also, for our face sketch, since this other component is activated, we are going to have the sketch, this sketch also created. So here's the first sketch we did for the base, the triangle. Now we got our second sketch for some other positioning geometry. Just keep it all the same. And you can see again the auto project for a line of the 3D geometry, because that's purple there. And we can go ahead and actually let's do our import again. So insert, try moving. Now, yeah, I don't see a, oh, okay, position. So here's a snapshot we can take. So where'd the snapshot go, though? Yeah, I guess Let's see, it's not there, it's not here, and it's not here. And I guess this also was created as a sub-assembly for this component. You can see it's inside of here. So I don't think I really want that. So I'm just going to undo and activate this base component, reinsert. Okay, let's try moving it again. And we're active in the base. So there it is now. Okay, the snapshot for that cylinder. And this is also not a subcomponent of this component. Of course, we could also have just used the move and move it as a body and not have a snapshot. Okay, so next, let's see, and I guess this is the details of our motor here. The sketch and the extrude there. By the way, if you want to, you can also create groupings in the timeline, your own groupings. So I'm going to now do the old joineroo. From there to there. It's joined together as seen by both components moving. Okay, and if we try moving this now, let's move as components so that we're going to move the sketches as well. And we probably only need to select one, but I'm going to select both, even though they're joined together. And you can see now that the sketches all move together. And let's take a snapshot of this new position. Okay, which goes in our base feature timeline here. And we can roll that back if we wanted to, but you can see that the different sketches here also move in this situation. So the sketches are located within our components, and that's all right too. Either way you want to do stuff. I'm still learning as well, especially for larger assemblies. Like I said, I've for now mainly just machined individual parts, but it's definitely important to start getting intimately familiar with this stuff. Okay, the last tidbit I came across and want to mention before going to bed, for my eyelids like just shut closed. Let's go back to this activating this base component, and if we import, let's say, another trusty cylinder, well, if we say edit this sketch, we see that that cylinder disappears, right? Because it was created after this sketch was made. But what if we just switch up the whole flow of time here, which is pretty interesting, I think pretty cool. Let's go ahead and, so here's the insert or import that we did. Let's go ahead and click and drag that all the way back to before this sketch here. And I'm not quite sure why it grays out like that sometimes. If you just do a slide of the timeline, it comes back there. Okay, so now this is imported before this sketch. So if we edit this sketch again, we can edit it from here or from here. We see that this cylinder is here now. Now it looks like it's in a different place though, so I'm guessing that's because we forgot to also move this before the sketch. So this was the move we did of this cylinder. Okay, so now if we go into this sketch, the cylinder is in its current place. And so let's try just adding some more geometry to this here. And I don't know if we need a point to specify the center here, or if it can just snap to the center, but let's just put a point there to be safe. Well, let's see, I guess first what we need to do is probably project. So I'm going to project. So it's, oh, okay, I guess it's projecting now. This is the sketch for this cylinder down here. So we can flip this around if we want to, but got 180 degrees there. Go ahead and try the coincidence again. And that looks fine, except for this is not holding with our joint there, because we moved the whole sketch. So that's kind of a hokey way to do things. You know, there might be some use for going back in time like that. Okay, yeah, I don't know why it didn't. It said it was in the base component, but it didn't look like it in the timeline. But so I just went to another component and then went back to activate this, and it brought me back. So there might be some uses that I'm not really familiar of or know of yet for moving stuff like this all the way back in the timeline, because what would really be a better way to do this, since well, you can see the other feature that we extruded right from a sketch on here is holding to that face. But to me, the preferable way of doing this, you know, is just with the joints. It seems to work really well. So I'm just going to undo that, and you know, why not just go ahead and watch this too. The order matters. It is different. Let's see, let's turn this off. Yeah, so this sketch, you know, is a relay of that sketch here for that point. And this sketch, being a relay sketch, you know, is it's in this component, which is good for the joining. So let's try this. Okay, so I'm going to say joint. Now we could choose this first and then this, and that would move this to there. But let's try choosing this first and then this, and that moves everything to that then. And it looks like this other jointed is going to have trouble, but sure enough, it updates once we finish, which is awesome. So yeah, I don't see of any real need to bring stuff back into the timeline, to move it ahead of a sketch with this amazingly powerful sketch or joint functions once we know how to properly use this.